Welcome to today's video, Romans 8 verse 32 explained. He that spared not his own Son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Let us look closely at this verse from the book of Romans, chapter 8 verse 32. The Apostle Paul writes these words to the early Christians in Rome. He is talking about the incredible love and generosity of God. First, we see that God did not spare his own Son. This means that God the Father was willing to give up Jesus Christ, his only begotten Son, for the sake of humanity. He did not hold back the most precious gift he had. Instead, he delivered Jesus up for us all. This means that Jesus was given up to suffering, death, and the cross for our sake. God allowed his Son to endure pain and separation, not for his own benefit, but for us. It shows just how great God's love is. There was nothing more valuable to God than his Son, yet God gave him up so that we might be saved. Paul then asks a question to make us think. If God did not withhold his Son, but freely gave him up for us, how shall he not also freely give us all things? In other words, if God already gave the most precious and costly gift, will he not also give us everything else we need? God has already proven that there is no limit to his love and generosity. Sometimes in life we may worry if God cares for us or if he will provide for us. We may wonder if he hears our prayers or will answer our needs. But Paul reminds us here that the greatest proof of God's love is already given. The sacrifice of Jesus is the ultimate gift, and if God did not hold that back, we can trust that he will take care of everything else in our lives. This verse teaches us about the security we have as believers in Christ. Our relationship with God is not based on our performance, but on what God has already done for us. Because God gave his Son, we can be sure that he will give us everything that is truly good for us. It may not always be what we want, but it will always be what we need. God's giving is not limited. He gives freely, without hesitation, because his love for us is that deep and that strong. Paul also wants us to understand that nothing can separate us from this love. The rest of Romans chapter 8 goes on to describe how nothing can come between us and the love of God in Christ. If God gave us Jesus, he will not abandon us now. He is faithful to finish what he started in our lives. So when you face challenges, doubts, or fears, remember Romans 8 verse 32. Remember that the greatest gift has already been given. You are loved beyond measure. God's generosity does not run out. Trust him to supply what you need, just as he already supplied the greatest need of all through Jesus Christ.